Welcome back. This is the second session of the Manufacturing Summit here at Mobile World Congress. And this second session is going to be focusing on private and dedicated networks for Industry 4.0. So just like the first session, we've got some fabulous speakers and a packed agenda. So first of all, we'll be joined by Elise Neel from Verizon with our opening keynote. And then next, we'll be passing to Gull from Cellnex. And then we'll be going to a panel format again, which will be this time moderated by Kapich from Accenture, and we'll be joined by Telstra, Airbus, Crogh, and Verizon again. So without further ado, I'm delighted to be able to pass over to Elise. Please welcome to the stage.
Thank you, Joe. And thank you to the GSMA. My name is Elise, and I'm here on behalf of Verizon. And I decided, what's an empty stage? So I decided to bring my friend here with me today. This is the Ghost Robot Vision 60. But in Verizon land, we have fun with this, and we call it the Botweiler. And so feel free to take pictures as we kind of go through. I'm going to be sharing a little bit about the Botweiler and the work that we're doing at Verizon in robotics in just a minute. But first, I wanted to talk about private and dedicated networks and the work that we're doing at Verizon on behalf of our customers to help them connect and enable their digital transformation. So as we look at these components, we're really wanting to start from the beginning with our customers. We see that there's massive opportunity happening today in Industry 4.0, and that no longer is digital transformation just kind of a thing that we do or a buzzword or something we bring up in the boardroom, but now we have executive buy-in, we have opportunities, and we have scaled opportunities to actually create true transformation and to do that at scale. One of the things that we look to are other industries that have materially benefited from digitization, whether that be media and advertising, banking and finance, hospitality and transportation. But Industry 4.0, manufacturing, construction, oil, gas, utilities, logistics, supply chain, has yet to really participate in any really meaningful transformation to date. And here's where our story begins. So when we look across the industry over the last several years, we've seen some major opportunities and new components kind of coming to life. In October of last year, CGS Advisors released this report that surveyed over 100 C-suite global executives in Industry 4.0 verticals and said, do we think there's an opportunity here? Do you see how new Industry 4.0 technologies can kind of create that change? And overwhelmingly, they said, yes, we see massive opportunities in productivity gains. We see worker safety and employee relations. We see quality opportunities, both in consistent and increased kind of quality performance. So this tells me, great, the industry is there. We are ready for change. However, those same executives surveyed again when they're asked, what are you doing about it? Where are we? We see that only 9% of global industries today have taken that information, have taken the technologies of today and applied it into their operational practices. So there's a gap. Over 55% are doing kind of ad hoc implementation or one-off proofs of concept, and actually over a third of them either aren't doing anything at all or they're still working to define use cases. And so herein lies the problem. If everyone understands the opportunity of the technology, but they're not implementing it today, you have to ask yourself the question, what's wrong? Why? We believe at Verizon that there are 5 main customer pain points that are stopping or prohibiting industry from beginning their digital transformation journey. The first is that there's a wide variety of hardware from all different kinds of OEMs. You have hundreds of form factors, all of which are vertically integrated, and none of which communicate or talk to one another. There's no interoperability or scalability kind of built into the factory itself. In addition to that, many of these industries are beautiful old industries. And as you think about forward compatibility, these legacy applications and protocols do not enable kind of that digital transformation. Now, once they do connect those components together and they begin receiving that data, they come to an impasse pretty quickly when they think about their reliance on network reliability. That reliability of the network, the scalability of the network to ingest the data, make sense of it, and to do so in predictive components in real time is a problem statement. So maybe they're connecting one component or 2 components, but actually bringing it together and bringing it to life to create those predictive elements, we're at an impasse. So, at Verizon, our 3-ingredient mix is really important. We're bringing to bear for our customers we were first in the world to 5G, we were first in the world to mobile edge compute, and intelligent software coming together. Now, when Verizon thinks about our connectivity solutions, we really bring a network as a service model. We are looking for our customers to say, these are the outcomes that I want, these are the SLAs that I need, and we work to partner with each of our customers to say, what is the right mix of each of those connectivity solutions, knowing that 5G is going to be essential for some of those components, but not totally required for all of them. And it's this holistic offering that helps us kind of work alongside our partners to do that. When you look at the 5G world, that also creates a gateway, particularly in the private side, to private mobile edge compute, which provides that low latency component to create those deliverable elements and those predictive elements in near real time. But it's not just about the network, and it's not just about processing and compute. You also need the glue. You need the software components, right? Those above the network capabilities in order to weave it all together. And it's this 3-ingredient mix that I can't wait to show you a little bit more about what we're doing here. Specifically, when we look at implementing these solutions for transformation for manufacturers and construction firms, for mining operations and supply chains in general, we're really looking at the opportunity presented to us in private networks. In fact, Deloitte recently said that hundreds of thousands of firms will be deploying private 5G and private networking in the next decade. And I think they're right. I mean, sometimes you got to be careful about the old, the consultants of the day. But here I think Deloitte has it right, and I'll tell you why. Because when we think about security concerns, when we think about dedicated networks, when we think about the amount of throughput and components that need to be customized on behalf of every single customer, private 5G allows us to do that, and private networking in general. We see these opportunities for indoor and out in a wide variety of enterprises and public sector use cases. And we see this as an early entry point for many of our customers to help begin to kind of shepherd along their Industry 4.0 journey. But don't just take my word for it. I want to show you some things. You guys ready to see some cool stuff? All right. So here we have Ghost Robot's Vision 60 robot. It is the first in the world that will be connected over 5G and eventually have a thin client model, and you can see more in our booth kind of at the back. But I want to talk to you a little bit about a use case that we have that specifically accentuates our private networking capabilities. Typically, in a security situation, I'm going to walk you through a perimeter security use case. So there's a building and it needs to be properly secured around the block. We see that there are major challenges oftentimes in perimeter security because there are vehicles or other suspicious things that are in and around that area. Today, that might be solved by an individual, a human worker going out and kind of patrolling that security in and of itself, kind of manually logging a log of what it saw, and then beginning to kind of process what to do next. But what I'm going to show you in this video is an opportunity to actually string together 4 key components together over the private network and using Verizon's mobile edge compute. We have our intelligence software through Sensor Intelligence, our video and LiDAR systems. You're going to see our command and control and mission planner software on the robotic side. You're going to see the creation in real time of a digital twin and simulation body of software. And you're going to see us pull and leverage mobile edge compute for real-time libraries of artificial intelligence to enable that robot to think and learn on its own. You ready? Let's check it out. Okay. So as we begin here, you see the red dot, which is a CCTV camera that is patrolling and surveying the area that's around it. It notices that there has been a vehicle that's been parked for more than 24 hours, which indicates a security concern. We don't know if there's a person in need of help or a suspicious component inside that vehicle. And so that television camera automatically sends an action set to our robot to say, please go find out what's going on in this area. The dynamic mission planner connects each of those elements together using location technology, and the robot controls the path. As it does so, it doesn't really know what it's looking at. Is this a Tesla? Is this a Tacoma? Is it an SUV? Is it a UPS truck? We're not quite sure. And so as the robot controls and surveys around the area, it builds a digital twin in real time and creates that reference code over the network to understand that, in fact, it is a Toyota Tacoma, and that these are the 3 inspection points that are required in order to understand, is it safe? So the robot automatically, over the networks, using our intelligence, begins to look inside the cabin. Is there a human there? Is there someone in need? It looks in the undercarriage. Do we have a suspicious package or something else that's here? And then it goes to the bed of the truck to say, what else is in here? As it does so, it notices that there's a package and says, I don't know how to analyze this package. Let me go over mobile edge compute. Let me pull down my FLIR analysis through the AI library, and let me conduct an immediate real-time FLIR response. That robot didn't know how to do that, upon mission control. Thankfully, for all involved, the vehicle is safe, and the robot continues kind of back to patrol. All the while, individuals are safe inside. They are all seeing this streamed live over the network. The UI is available for any kind of assistance that would be needed along the way, but each of those 4 components, the sensor intelligence, the digital twin and simulation technology, the robotic mission planner, and those AI libraries are leveraging the power of private networking and private mobile edge compute to deliver an end-to-end solution on behalf of our customers. So, we're really excited about private networking. We are really excited about the opportunity in 5G. We're excited for Verizon to work alongside our customers in their network as a service journey, and we're excited to shepherd those customers throughout their digitization as well. So, if you're a partner, if you're a hardware manufacturer, if you're a developer, if you're an ISV, we would love to continue the conversation with you because we know we can't shape the future alone. We need all of us here as a global body, and what better place to do it than Mobile World Congress? So if you've got a little spring in your step and you're looking for some more fun with our friends here and some of the other cool tools that we have, we would love to tell you more. We're just right back here at the back left. We are the circle structure, and we would love to have you here. So thank you for the time. I appreciate it. We'll see you on the panel. I'm handing to you next.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Elise. That was fascinating, and of course, love the dog. So up next, please welcome Gull from Cellnex. Welcome.
Thanks, Joe. I'm so excited to be here, and mostly excited to be on stage with the puppy, with the Botweiler. They say that you should never perform with animals or children, so I'm going to take a chance. So, thanks, Elise. And I share the enthusiasm of everyone who's been speaking today. What an awesome opportunity, private networks and manufacturing, and really making a transformation in manufacturing. So about 8 years ago, I started working in private networks, which really wasn't a thing back 8 years ago. I worked with Heathrow Airport for one. They came to us and said, we need a private network. And we said, gosh, what is that? And we developed for them a private network that has a lot of the attributes that a private network would have today, a 5G private network. Reliability, a network where they need it, when they need it, and how they need it, and structured for an SLA. I've since then, about a year ago, joined Cellnex. And just a little bit about Cellnex for people who don't know them. They are a tower co with over 130,000 towers located in 13 countries throughout Europe, and they are the #1 tower co in Europe. About 2 years ago, they bought a company called Edscom, and Edscom is the market leader in private networks in Europe, exclusively focused on private networks. And between Cellnex and Edscoms, we have about 40 plus networks deployed in all manner of industries. So, I'm not using my, there we go. Goodness gracious. There we go. So why are we talking about private networks and manufacturing? And there's about 4 or 5 speakers that came before me that can tell you that. But this one, we haven't quoted these statistics yet. Analysys Mason essentially say that private networks, manufacturing is going to lead the charge for private networks. And you can see there how it's going to do that. So what are some of the key challenges? And I know some of the previous speakers have spoken about some of the key challenges for manufacturing. And Elise very well articulated why maybe some of these manufacturers are not adopting private networks. But let's talk about the key challenges. Key challenges are maintenance. And to me, maintenance is not just fixing things when it fails. It's making sure it doesn't fail, making sure you know when it fails, and it's also keeping the business running. Security is a huge issue, and today all we've been talking about is cybersecurity and getting ready for Russia or whomever to hack into our systems. Very key for manufacturing. Sustainability. I know most European CEOs now have targets against sustainability, and that's something that not only do they need to manage, but they need to track it. And the last thing, which is something that has been around forever, which is worker safety. And I think one of the previous speakers actually spoke about how, I think Len spoke about, is taking workers out, removing jobs, or is it actually taking them out of difficult places? But we'll talk about that in a second. Essentially, underpinning this, and this is where industrial transformation, Industry 4.0 comes into play, and that is the massive amount of data that can be gathered from the manufacturing plants in order to make decisions, to use AI, and to really use the edge compute that we have. And it's also automation. And again, I have referred to before, how do we have automation replace workers that are in unsafe places? So, what are the drivers for private networks? Number one is industrial transformation. And I've spoken at conferences over the last 3 or 4 years to talk about 5G, private networks, and industrial transformation. And one of the things that is very different this time is COVID. Because what COVID has found is found half the workforce that was in the manufacturing plant doing things out sick or not able to come because they've been beeped, because they've been in touch with someone who's had COVID. And then also, someone referred to this earlier, a changing workforce. And that changing workforce is people coming into the workforce, graduating from high school, graduating from college, and not wanting to do these industrial jobs. But there are digitalization jobs that are potentially there. So Elise said it very well, why aren't these manufacturing plants changing anything? Well, frankly, they have to. Because what they're going to have is they're going to find themselves without any workers. And they will find themselves with a manufacturing plant that's not working. Second thing is 5G, mix of use cases. We've got a whole lot of legacy, and I'll talk a little bit about this later. You can't take a 40 or 50-year-old manufacturing plant that has been using the same cookie processing for the 100-year-old cookies and replace that. You've got to find a way to adapt it. And 5G has that capability. And then you have automation and other things coming. And that's where 5G really has the flexibility to do what it needs. And lastly, it's spectrum. Governments now are recognizing that enterprises need their own spectrum, and they need licensed spectrum for obvious reasons: security, reliability. So, before I get into more about 5G, you might say, why not Wi-Fi? Why not just use my MNO? Wi-Fi, why private networks? So I have a colleague who says, Wi-Fi is for many, private or public networks are for few, and private networks are for you. And what that means is that private networks are actually custom tailored for your requirements, for your specific needs, for the latency, the reliability, the SLAs, the throughput that you need. And that is what's unique about private networks. So when I talk about a couple of use cases coming up now, these companies looked at these different technologies and they determined that private 5G was the way forward. So we're going to start with Konecranes, but before I start, these two use cases that I'm going to go through, they use 5G both for legacy and for the future. So Konecranes is a major manufacturer of lifting equipment that is used by both manufacturing and ports and other businesses. They adopted a private network about 4 or 5 years ago in order to streamline their efficiency, have ubiquitous connectivity and reliability throughout their plant. What they realized in the last year, though, is they had manufacturers and ports that wanted to transform, and they wanted to digitize. And in order to do that, the equipment, the operational technology that is delivered by Konecranes needed to transform. Therefore, they implemented a 5G network in order to research and test and trial how 5G can make automation safe and reliable for the ports and for the manufacturing plants. Now, in the case of BASF, and BASF is a major, probably one of the top chemical companies in the world, and their mantra is chemicals, providing chemicals for future sustainability. Well, how are they going to provide future sustainability when they have a chemical plant that is, I don't know, 30, 40 years old, it's several kilometers wide, it has pipeline all over it that is, I don't know, 10, 15 years old. You're not going to be able to change that. You're not going to be able to transform that. So you have to find a technology that actually transforms the chemical plant using the legacy system that's already there. So what they did is they implemented a 5G network both indoors and outdoors. And that 5G network gathers information from thousands of points. Again, massive data, because they want to know what's going on in their plant. It also enables, which is something they've never had before, automation of trucks, moving goods from one place for another. Again, going back to the workforce. The workforce is not exactly wanting to drive a truck up and down a particular area over and over. So they've implemented automated vehicles to move goods from one place to another, which is something their business required. The other thing that they found was having this private 5G network. If they wanted to start a project, let's say on the north side of their campus, they had a network there. They didn't have to put fiber down. They didn't have to do anything. And the benefits to 5G are even unimaginable to them today. I think there's a lot of things about 5G that we don't even know. A lot of implementation, a lot of use cases that we can't even imagine. So, what is 5G about? And I've got a dashboard which our customers get to look at to see what's going on in their network. But to me, what it represents is control. Private 5G is control. So, to finish, do you want your own private network? Elise mentioned a lot of things that you need to get a private network to work and to get Industry 4.0 to work. But essentially, you need to talk to someone. You need to talk to a service provider and discuss what kind of reliability you need. What kind of coverage and where do you need it? What use cases or what problems are you trying to solve? And then we work together on the throughput and the latency. We design it, build and manage and maintain it, and guess what? It's not over, because there's more things that will come as you grow your private network. I invite you to come to the Cellnex stand, which is just over there in Hall 4, to see an example of our private network. Not as cool as the Botweiler, but I just say to you, how can we help? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Catherine. That was it's really great to see not only the use cases, but also, and we've seen this in a couple of sessions earlier today, some of the challenges that we're all working to overcome. So thank you for that. Okay, so the final session for this session, I'd like to welcome Kapich from Accenture, who is going to be our moderator, and panelists, please come and join us on the stage.
Well, we could have everybody else come on up. Come on up. Great. Good afternoon, everybody. Let me take this off.
Okay.
Oops. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's panel on private and dedicated networks for Industry 4.0. My name is Kevin Kapich. I'm part of our Cloud First Network group at Accenture. I focus on private LTE, private 5G strategies for discrete and process manufacturing clients. Each one of the clients that I work with, oil and gas, chemical, agriculture, mining, and product manufacturing, they're all undergoing digital transformations, and they're really looking to solve age-old pain points that are related to lack of connectivity, lack of visibility into site operations, and they're looking to upgrade their infrastructure to support new mission-critical use cases. Private LTE and private 5G is really unlocking new operational value and capabilities around site operations, digital operations, safety, and security. It's, as you heard from the other speakers, these are tailor-made networks that are really there to streamline business operations and service delivery across a common framework. But as you know, they all come in various sizes and shapes. There's different integration partners. There's different ecosystem partners that need to be a part of it. And the challenges the decision process to implement it can be challenging. All the clients that we're working with today for adoption in private 5G and networks, these are brand new capabilities that need to be stood up inside the organization. So they're thinking about things like, how do we do application enablement and integration to legacy applications? Specifically, when you think about moving into the heavy industries like autonomous hauling, autonomous drilling, tele-remote applications, things like that. The global spectrum, thinking about spectrum at a local level and at a global level, how you actually do that. The device selection for mobility and industrial IoT. How you do cybersecurity across IT and OT domains. And then how do you do network management at a regional level, at a local level? Most of these industry footprints are in locations that are super rural. So they need to figure out how to support these at a site level. So today what we're going to do on this panel is really unpack the business value and the drivers a little bit further. And we're going to talk about the opportunities, the challenges, and how service providers provide solutions to these different implementations, and how you drive services to Industry 4.0. So I think without further ado, we'll just go ahead and start with some introductions. And we'll start with you, sir, and go through, if you can introduce yourself and provide a little bit of background what you do today.
Thank you for the intro. Hello, can you hear me?
No.
Hello? Speaker. Can you? Hello? So thank you for the introduction. Yes, very good. So my name is Patrick Castalino. So I am business development for the that's okay for Airbus connectivity. So aircraft and general convergence for the Airbus group. So I will go directly why Airbus decided to deploy the 4G 5G network. Clearly today we have two main streams. The first one is very low efficiency of the Wi-Fi in huge hangar from aircraft manufacturing. Outside the aircraft and hangar and inside the aircraft, so the Wi-Fi was not able to support our connectivity stream and assets during manufacturing. The second point why we decided is multi-site coverage. So I would say not only in Toulouse, where is the main site of manufacturing, but as well in Hamburg and multi-site in Europe. So why we decided? Because we would like to get the full connectivity in multi-site managed by one 4G, 5G core. Very important for us. That means convergence of tooling, convergence of connectivity, convergence of SIM cards, of usage and assets. So this is why we decided directly to go to the 5G private. Clearly we started this 4G, 5G deployment 4 years ago with a proof of concept in Toulouse, clearly with a clear visibility of deployment in Hamburg. Today the situation is quite simple. We deployed in Toulouse with the 4G and in 5G in Hamburg. And we will continue this deployment in different sites in Europe, I would say. Why we have 5G in Hamburg? Because we have the spectrum available and not yet in Toulouse. So the spectrum is one of the key elements to take into consideration as well for the private network deployment. So in terms of introduction, we have now the benefits of the 4G, 5G in complement to the Wi-Fi, because Wi-Fi is still there. And we will use the connectivity for manufacturing, flight tests, IoT assets, and all the activity around the aircraft for massive data uploads, and all in data security, isolated, dedicated network. This is a key message. We control, without a telco, our main assets, sensitive data, and clearly today, fully compliant with the Airbus requirement in terms of process and IT, I would say IT infrastructure.
Thank you.
Yeah, hi everyone. Yeah, thanks. Hi everyone, my name is Stéphane Gervais. I'm taking care of innovation, strategic innovation within the Krogh Group. Krogh Group is a mid-cap company, and we do a lot of electronic manufacturing services and IoT devices as well. By the way, some of our electronic is also produced for Airbus, but it's just a chance. On the 5G, we were lucky enough to be one of the very first manufacturing sites in France to get a 5G network, to be experimented with Orange, and to understand what we can do with 5G. And our experimentation went pretty well on the different topics, on the production, on improving also efficiency, getting a lot of data, making a lot of saving in energy and everything. But everything has been presented before, so nothing really new about that. But we, as a manufacturer, we need really to check all of that. And the fundamental key, I would say, features that we need are reliability, for sure, always on and always reliable. And we're very interested about this low latency as well for specific application, where there's no other technology that we can do that. And something new also, and why we experiment all of that, because we moved, and we are, by the way, on the way to move now from our old site in France to a new one, a brand new one. And a big difference with the old one and a brand new one is it's all the machine can move. So you understand that wireless is definitely way more exciting than to have everything connected and with LAN connectivities and whatsoever. So everything can move, all the machine can move, and we have to reinvent all our manufacturing sites. So we need a full digitalization about what we have today, and we have to add way more information, way more sensors that we don't have today as well. So on our side, and maybe I will let the we say more exciting exchange after that. But we made a choice, and our analysis showing us about hybrid network is something better for us, and I will explain you why a bit later.
Thank you. Kim?
Thank you. And hello everyone, my name is Krogh Andersen. I'm the Group Executive for Telstra, leading our product and technology. I was brought there 2 years back to help monetizing 5G and create growth in our business. We see a private network and a dedicated network as a core component of that. We have actually transformed the whole enterprise business to be focused on the industry verticals, because we have realized to really make a difference, you need to understand each industry to be able to actually apply these different technologies. We are not only a telco, we are also a SI, so we have a big service business, Telstra Purple, and I believe the combination of connectivity and services will really be what will create growth for us. We see these industries in 3 different layers. First of all, the connectivity, which for us is the dedicated and private network. Then, as we mentioned before, the edge and the cloud, and also the software and IoT solutions on top of that. But then, last but not least, the managed and professional service, really to somehow put all these things together for our enterprise customers. We in Australia have focused on especially mining, agriculture, and also government, some of the big industries, but we definitely see that being replicated into other industries as well, like retail, logistic, and also manufacturing. So we have turned the company to be focused on verticals, both from a go-to-market. Our sales teams are now have expertise in verticals, our product and solution, and even down to our network. So it's very important for us to actually meet our customers and understand their problems, to apply that technology we can provide. And we already see a lot of growth there, and we believe that is the accelerator for growth in telco industry going forward.
I'm Elise Neel with Verizon, and the specific part of Verizon I'm in is responsible for building new software businesses that will help accelerate and utilize the 5G future. So we can...
Great, thank you, Elise. What I'd like to do is start with our first question for you, Kim. As you heard in my speech, and I think you heard from the other speakers, this is complicated. The solutions that are out there, the industry clients that we're working with are, have many different requirements for standing up private dedicated networks. So we're thinking about, but my question for you is how do you, from your perspective, why are private and dedicated networks so important to enterprises and to mobile network operators?
Yep.
For you, Kim. Yep.
Yeah, first of all, I think it's about creating the foundation for actually growing into these industries. I think the dedicated network needs to be in place to ensure we have the right latency, the security, the resiliency. And we need to start with that early so we can actually deliver on the outcome. Then we need to understand which use case and create the demand for that. We need to help our clients, our customers, also on the software layer, because that's actually where the outcome will be produced. And that will also create the demand to the private network. Then I think it's also a matureness. We started with the physical private network, where we already have a lot of private network in the mines, etc. It will also be more and more software, more and more virtualized, and we are now to ensure we can scale it, moving into dedicated network, and we will see slicing in the future where we'll create a different kind of private network. So I think we're creating the foundation so to grow the business and also keep our market. We really want to land grab. We believe to be first out with all these private network, create that foundation to have the dialogue on the next level. That'll be edge compute and cloud transformation. That'll be the software and the IoT solution, and also help our customers, our clients to manage that become a more complicated infrastructure to some degree, but we need to make it both secure, resilient, and also deliver on these SLA, these ultra-reliable use cases. So for us, this is the foundation of these four layers I talked about before, and we need to be out there, help our customers to set that up so they can embark on their digitization. The fact is, all industries is technology companies. No matter if they want know it or not, but that is the case. If they want to compete, they need to adopt technology. And we need to help them do that, because the squeeze and the difficulty in actually access talent, that's an issue every industry is facing the coming years. So we need to go out helping them with their digital transformation. So that's why this is a very foundational layer of that growth strategy within the industry verticals.
Thanks, Kim. And my question here for you, Patrick, is what was if you could just talk a little bit more about the business vision for the private networks and the type of solution you decided on at Airbus.
So we started the definition of the private for flight test mainly. We have a huge data to be offloaded from the aircraft every day or every 2 days. It represents around 30 gigabytes per flight. The second asset is the full integration of IoT assets around the aircraft during manufacturing, clearly. Is IoT, digital assets, all, I would say, tooling around the aircraft for the manufacturing. We are now connecting our labs in addition to the main streams, and the supply chain is coming inside the plants as well, but outside. So we started this integration from an aircraft point of view 4 years ago. Our aircraft are connected worldwide to a public network, I would say, but private infrastructure. So now we are converging the two worlds from the aircraft to the manufacturing. Using the same SIM cards, we have one convergence tooling for that, and we manage the full integration of all the assets. Today it represents around 20,000 assets, I would say, SIM cards, clearly for us. The main difficulties is not the installation of the teleco infrastructure. It's more the infrastructure installation inside our requirements. That means the IT and the cloud. This is the main security constraint we have. Installation, deployment, and safety requirements. I would say keep or pay attention to this integration, because it's not so simple. to integrate, I would say, a 4G, 5G architecture inside a company with huge security constraints. This is my main message, I would say.
Thank you. And then, Stefan, if we could just go back to you and talk a little bit about your solution with the Krogh Group. You decided on deploying a different type of solution. Can you talk about your private dedicated network and the use cases that you enabled there?
Yeah, let's put it in this way on theory and in practical, right? Private network for manufacturing, it seems is the best solution in terms of security, in terms of management and everything. However, we are not the same size as Airbus, and not everyone is at the same size than Airbus, right? So on our side, we're a mid-cap company, so we have a manufacturing site, about 500 people. And the big challenge we had, by the way, it's to move one side to the other, keeping the same number of people, the same resources, and doubling the productivity. And why we need to do that is to make sure that we can make electronic manufacturing still in France. Which is not, we say, the lowest cost in terms of labor. So we have to deploy a lot of innovation to make sure, and we need to be nimble and to use the technologies as its best. And on our side, the analysis we have done is that, as mentioned by Patrick, you require to do private network much more technical knowledge, especially for IT. You need to also manage a new type of infrastructure. That's why you need to work closely, and we need to work closely with a telco, and in this case is Orange. However, you cannot only rely on public networks. There is no way that public networks can do the job for all the, we say, security issues, bandwidth, we say, issues as well as you can get and everything. So our choice was definitely to make sure that we get the best of 5G, but not with all the investment in technically and even in terms of money that we need to do to have our own private network. So that's why the partnership with the telco and having a specific, I would say, slice which is coming and net and the frequency which is dedicated to our, I would say, highly secure and highly reliable type of data that we need to do was definitely the choice we are going to do and we make. And of course, we mix other technologies as well. So this is one part. The other part I would just wanted to mention as well was in the experimentation we have done, right? We had a problem on the device as well. You cannot find all the IoT devices for 5G easily, and it takes a lot of time to develop new type of devices. And it's where came another type of innovation that we brought up with a kind of partnership with Orange, ST Microelectronics, and Sierra Wireless, where we set up and launched an IoT continuum to be able to scale and deploy IoT devices in a very fast time by combining all the value chain to make sure that everything is going to be set up from the proof of concept, minimum viable product, and the deployment and manufacturing, hopefully in our manufacturing site, but not only as well. So device also is another important part, and networking partnership it's necessary because of to manage all this complexity as well.
Great, thank you. And the next question, it would go back to you, Kim. The first question, we talked about the opportunity for mobile network operators and enterprise clients for private dedicated networks. In this question, I'm really interested we heard from Stefan and Patrick, one's got a dedicated network, the other one's got a hybrid network. What I'm curious about is how does Telstra pick the right continuum of commercial offers to support private dedicated networks?
Yeah, no, first of all, I think back to what I said before, it's really important to understand the problem and work in partnership and ecosystems. And it will not be Telstra solving this themselves. It will be with our client. We need to have partners with us on each of these layers. On the connectivity layer, we work with the classical vendors. On the edge, we are working with hyperscalers, etc. And we will need to work in this ecosystem to provide this value. But at the same time, all the things we're discussing about here, the security, the operation of it, to set it up, to operate it, backhaul, all these kind of things. That's our heritage as a telco. That's what we're really good at. And we just need to bring that into a different setup, into a different future. And I think sometimes we have been in many years a little bit reluctant to actually move into these areas. I think we are have a very good opportunity to actually help these industries to actually operate that, because it is not that simple, and there's many things to take into account that we do every day for our customers in the broader macro network. So to actually bring that in, but at the same time make it scalable. And it's not one that suits everyone, because it's a very different private network between Airbus and a smaller but still big enterprise. That's very different, and we need to ensure we have scalable solutions that fit both. And then again, also help our customers with the ecosystem around, work with the OEMs to ensure fast deployment of the SIM card into the IoT devices, the IoT devices, get them into the secure network, to manage that, operate that, to ensure we have video cameras, the processing, the digital twin, all these things to facilitate that whole digital transformation across all these elements. We believe we have the size, and we also have that SI capability to actually be able to help our partners with that, because that is a complicated thing. But I think for industry clients, it's important to have people like sitting here next to me in these industries to really understand what is the demand, and then go into a dialogue with people like Telstra, or a company like Telstra, but also other technology companies. So it's back to skills and have that vision, and then it needs to be top-down driven, because it cannot be something you do out of the IT organization. It's a company transformation, as we have done similarly the last many years inside telcos, have transformed our own business, digitized our own business. That is the same coming to the physical industries now, and that needs CEO commitment and push from the top to make it happen. And then it's all about ecosystem and partnership.
Speaking of ecosystem and partners, Elise, I want to come to you now. As you heard, it really takes a village to build and deliver, private dedicated networks to these industries. And I think a previous presentation we showed that, the most of the industries are oil and gas, mining, manufacturing, heavy industrial are sort of the first thrust to private LTE and dedicated networks, or private 5G. I'm curious, your perspective, how do you build the right ecosystem to bring the right solutions to the customers to deliver these networks?
Yeah, I think what we have a concerted strategy around is really assembling just that, the ecosystem. And we heard my friends here kind of talk about the necessity of finding out what is the network as a service that is required for that customer in that implementation and in that site. So just a couple examples. Actually, today I was noting your bracelet here, Kim. We just announced a large and extended partnership with VMware. So in addition to Verizon Business's SD-WAN solutions, we now continue to elevate our partnership with VMware as we look at full managed solution offerings. In fact, Stefan said, every manufacturer or enterprise is now also having to be a technology company. And we know that the reality is that we need those companies to do what they do best. And so we're coming around with those managed solution offerings. So regardless of transport, regardless of device, regardless of what kind of exists in that space, VMware and that partnership is one good solution. In addition to that, last fall, we announced a very large public mobile edge compute extended partnership with our friends at AWS on the Outpost side. And so as you think about deploying those different workloads to utilize the cloud computing infrastructure, the mobile edge computing infrastructure, what's on the device, what flows through those networks, those partnerships help to create seamlessness in the solution suites. But like I mentioned before, we're really just getting started. As we think about global solutions and global deployments, we are always looking for the best and brightest customers and partners to help us bridge that journey and to make it easier for adoption and for scale.
Thank you. Patrick, I'd like to come back to you. A lot of the questions so far has been really focused on the partnerships, the ecosystems, and the services that mobile network operators would provide. What capabilities did you have to stand up inside your organization to really operationalize this capability?
But we started by scale-up activities. That means with a POC. That means with 2 or 3 people knowing perfectly the 4G, 5G technology. So we started with the expertise first in terms of POC. Now we are pushing this activity from expertise to operational usage. That means training is needed. We need as well to communicate internally how we can use this 4G, 5G connectivity inside the enterprise, because they used to maintain and to have the capacity to connect to Wi-Fi. Now we need to educate and communicate internally. And the next step, we will deploy the activities. So we will use partnership externally for the operational usage and deployment, and keep only some experts inside the company to maintain the level of capacity, and as well, I would say, to continue the innovation around the 4G, 5G. The next step for us is managing the slicing, quality of service, putting in place as well the new MEC, native function from 5G, and so on and so on and so on. We are now working on the hybrid mode. So we started with the private. We are pushing now the hybrid mode using the SIM profile management directly, not a full roaming agreement, but dual profile in the same SIM card for supply chain activities. So these activities managed by our internal experts, including the business capability and a full MVP to validate the end-to-end business model as well.
Great, thank you. And Elise, I'd like to give you the last question. What I really want to know is if you can give us some advice to other MNOs and your colleagues, and sort of how do you get started in the journey of private dedicated networks? How do you figure out which industries to go after, and some good next steps?
Yeah. The first is just to listen. So you're here today listening to some fantastic customers and suppliers in the market, understanding kind of what is that first step that you can take? What's the entry point into your digital journey? So if you're a supplier, it would be to listen. And if you are a customer, it would be to explore. I think what hopefully you heard today and out and around us, there are a wide variety of ways that you can just get started. So whether that's deploying your first camera and sensor intelligence solution, or starting to build a digital twin, or picking up a robot and trying to figure out how can we automate those components and keep that ROI model top of mind, just start. I think those use cases are there. Let's learn from one another. That's why we're all here together at Congress. And just start testing. Just get in. Roll up your sleeves.
Great. Thank you. I'd like to say thank you to everybody on the panel. Appreciate your time. And thank you for sharing your insights.
Thanks.